even get buckled.
Can you buckle yourself?
Yes. Buckled cold.
Alright, good morning and welcome to Teal House Farm. Today I want to show you an idea I have for my garden for the spring. I know, right? It's only October, we're already talking about spring, but that's how it rolls, right, on a homestead. But I want to get your opinion because a lot of you all who watch and have just wonderful suggestions are very helpful. So I want to see what you think. But first, Annie, say hi, Annie. Where are you? There you are. Annie has a dentist appointment this morning, super early, so we're trying to head out, which is why my hair's still wet. And then after that, we're going to the school for the last of her IEP assessments, because we're really trying to get her some services, some of her therapy services through the school, even as a homeschooler, because we drive so far to get pediatric services where we live. If we could get some of them through the school, I could cut like 100 miles or more a week off my driving record, and since we pay taxes, you know, it's free to get the services through the school if she qualifies, so that's great. So let's hope that she qualifies. We're going to finish that today, and then we'll find out whether or not she qualifies, but it'd be wonderful if she could. It would really reduce some of my stress in trying to get her everything that she needs. So, but first the dentist, and then we'll come back here and I'm going to show you my big idea for the garden. Okay, we are back. Mitter P is gonna hang out on his motorbike. Hi, Mitter. The littler girls, littles and middles, are taking naps. Ivy's working on some school, and Micah's resting because she's got a cold today and needs a nap. So I want to show you what my thoughts were for solving some of the garden problems that we've had the last few years. And you tell me maybe what issues I'm not thinking of with this plan, and then also if you have any suggestions to make it better. And I'm also going to point out a few issues that I foresee, and I would love your thoughts on how to make them better. So this year we had a goal that we were going to reduce the amount that we mowed, and we did that partially. And the second part of that goal is to move some things around and to bring things closer to the farmhouse so things aren't so spread out over our 10 acres. That will also limit the amount we have to mow, right? Because we don't have to have so much land cleared for walking through, and it should help limit the amount of work chores are because things are closer together. Is that kitty bothering you? Tell him to go. Go. Say go. Go. So the chickens got moved here, this front. I don't know what that is. A little more than half an acre maybe. Chickens, duck, geese are up there. They got a good amount of room. Move this cat. They aren't free ranged anymore. It's helped eliminate some of the poop, and it also means I don't have to mow any of that. And that was a hard area to mow because there's lots of trees. And then we created 2 large paddocks over here. This is the best our field has ever looked. I'm not gonna say that it's beautiful, but man, it stayed mostly mowed down, and our sheep and our goats just, we alternate them between the 2 paddocks. They're happy, we're happy. We don't really do anything over here, but it's not a huge eyesore, so this has worked out really well. So that's just a large area that doesn't need maintained, really. I mean, you have to maintain the fencing, but we don't have even a riding mower. We don't even have, never mind a tractor to brush hog, something like that. What is that, like 4 acres maybe over there? And so it looked terrible, and every once in a while a neighbor would come knock it down for us, but I can't afford to continuously pay somebody to take care of that for me right now, and I can't afford to buy a big tractor to do it myself. So how we've been running the goats is helping out a lot. It's working out really well, and it's taken that kind of stressor off our plates, which is great. So next is the garden, and the garden is going to help reduce the mowing, I think, and I'll show you why. So right now the garden is behind that white fenced area. Now that fence, we did not put that up. It was there already. They had some sort of enclosed raised bed garden there, and It's the fence is just falling apart. It's not protecting the garden from anything. It needs to come down. And the fence also, and this location is also a problem. It's really far from the water source, which you've heard me whine about before, and it's really close to the edge of the woods, so anything that really wants to crawl over the fence can kind of get in without our dog knowing, and that can cause some little problems. We don't have major problems, we do have little problems. And so all in all, I think I'm done with this being the garden. I think we can say goodbye. This year I grew an accidental humongous squash garden here. By leaving some starter pots out that I thought the extra starter plants would just die, and they didn't. They got huge. We've had kind of a light frost, so they're kind of dying off, but this whole area was just covered with squash. And so my thought is, what if next year we make from the trampoline over to where the greenhouse is now, and then an L that goes from where the greenhouse is now basically to this tree. Obviously we'll avoid the utility pole. A permaculture garden. So instead of tilling, what I would do this fall is I would lay down a whole lot of cardboard that we would collect, both from our own, Amazon orders and from friends at church and family, which I'm sure will be more than happy to collect cardboard for us. And we lay it down in this area. So the area, I know it's hard to tell, this area will be a little bit bigger than the white garden is now, so I'm not losing space. The difference is it is right outside the house. So right now I'm standing in the doorway to my mudroom. Garden would be where that squash plant is, just expanded. So like you walk 20 feet outside your house, there's your garden to work on. You don't, the hose is not too far around the corner this way. So it'd be very easy to water, even set up a sprinkling system. Right now, the reason we don't have a sprinkler system is because we'd have to run a hose, wrap it all the way around the house, and you would always have a hose going through your lawn, which makes it hard to mow. But to here, it's a much shorter journey from the house, which is right there. Just across here, could have one single hose attachment to some sort of ground sprinkler system. So anyway, I would put down cardboard all the way over there to where the greenhouse is now. We would find a new location for the greenhouse. Maybe even here where Patton is here. And I would lay down the cardboard, and then on top of that I would put all of our old bedding from our goats and our chickens and our geese and our ducks. We have so much packed up that we have never used. The reason we've never used it is we don't have a convenient way to move it. It's literally my muscles in a wheelbarrow, or Sam's muscles in a wheelbarrow, moving what is probably hundreds of cubic feet of bedding, from the barn or behind the barn over there across this yard here. It's kind of a big deal. I mean, people talk about the freeness of permaculture gardening, sustainable gardening, meaning you're not going to till, the no-till, putting down the cardboard and the I can't think of the word. It's not hummus. The hubris, the Hubris, however you say that. So you don't till, and you're using the organic matter you're producing on your farm. But a lot of those people who really promote that type of gardening, which is awesome, they drive around the corner in their big $30,000 tractor to move all of their material. When you're doing it by hand, it's an incredible amount of work. But the idea is we would do it once, and then after you've done the big haul, each year there's just some maintenance over the winter, but we're never going to have to move quite this quantity of stuff, of decomposing stuff to put on top of our garden. But yeah, so it would be here, right outside the house. Now, one of my issues is anytime I've tried to make a garden bed over here, because I tried to plant a fall one here, as soon as I do it, our barn cats and our dog come and dig through it. I mean, just dig everything up. So I need some sort of fencing system, but I'm not quite sure how I want to do that, because I don't want to do all of this work and then have to spend hundreds of dollars on fencing, because fencing is not cheap. So I'm not quite sure about that, if that would even if that makes it, not worth it, because you're going to do all that work and then, $700 worth of fencing. You should have just stayed where you were, where the fencing sort of works, even if it's not great. At least it keeps the cats and the dogs from digging in there. We don't have that problem in the main garden. The other issue is I'm concerned that that amount of bedding will create just a haven for bugs. So I'd love your opinion on that, if it just creates a lot of problems with pests, because pests are already always a problem for every gardener, and I don't want to spray my plants with a bunch of junk. So I'm worried about whether I'm going to just create like this utopia for squash bugs and my plants are just going to really suffer. The final thing I want to do is right here along this path, which would lead right into the heart of the garden, is I put a raised bed on this side and on this side. And that would be my early spring gardens where I would plant like my root vegetables and my spinaches, because those have done so well in the tires for us when they're raised up off the ground. So it'd be kind of a cute little border to the path into the main garden. I would love to do a complete raised beds garden here, but that cost is quite a lot compared to just using the compost we already have. What do you think, mister? Is it a good plan? Is it a good plan? Do you like it? No? Yes? He doesn't have an opinion, but that's what I was thinking. I'd love to hear what you think. I do think having the garden really close, like right outside the door, will just help with the mental ability to like get out there and weed every day. I know it sounds silly, but I think a lot of you know what I'm saying. When you have to walk out your door and see it staring you at the face every day, you're much less likely to go, oh, I'll take care of it tomorrow, than when it's hiding behind a fence like that and you don't have to look at it, okay? And I also think when we've been looking at designs of homesteads, especially Amish homesteads, their garden is always right outside the house. I think there's just a lot of common sense to that. It's also, the dog is always out in this area, which will help keep things away. If we can keep him from digging in it, or her, I should say, and the cats. So I think there's a lot of positives. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That's all I got for today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys again really soon. Bye.